Hey everyone. Today we're going to work through a couple problems on this website called Codewars.com. It is a website that allows you to submit problems for other users to solve, and it allows for users to create an account and basically have an unlimited source of programming problems. It's a great way to sharpen your skills. It's a great way to learn a new language. The problems vary in difficulty, some very, very difficult, some very easy, such as this one that is more so aimed towards beginners. So let's just go ahead and jump in. This problem is called is this string or is the string uppercase? And what it wants us to do is to create an extension method called is uppercase to see whether the string is all caps, for example. So here's some test cases that we are being provided. So we can see lowercase c, we're going to return false, uppercase c true. Okay, easy enough. All right, these are a little more telling on what the problem is actually wanting from us. So it wants us to check if the entire string is uppercase. Okay, so hello, I am Donald, some lowercase, some uppercase returns false. Everything uppercase returns true. And the same applies here. All right, so let's think about this for a second. So we can see that we are taking in a parameter called text. So let's say that text is the string hello. And we know that hello is not lowercase. Um, but how do we get the system to know that it's not lowercase? So one way we could do it is we could make the entire string uppercase and compare it to itself. So we could do something, we could do a comparison like this, right? And, this is going to return false. And, if text was this string, hello, with all capital letters, and we compared it to the capitalized version of itself, it would return true. And that would be enough to satisfy this problem. And just quickly, most programming languages, all programming languages I know, are case sensitive. So it would catch something. Even if the word hello was all capital except for the last letter, it would know that these two strings are not equal. So let's go ahead and write out our solution, right? So we can just jump in right now and solve this in one line. So return is going to give us our Boolean value that we want to return. So let's see, text, use the Boolean operator for equals, is equal to text. And then we're going to use the method in C# to make a string all uppercase. So we're going to take text in its base form and we're going to compare it to text in its uppercase form. If this was originally all uppercase, then this is going to return true. If it was not, it's going to return false. So let's go ahead and test that out. Okay, I'm passing these tests down here. Okay, let's see if I pass the big test. All right, so I passed all 106 there, and let's go ahead and hit submit. I feel good about this answer, and it's going to give us an opportunity to look at what other people wrote. All right, so we can see this is basically what we answered. A little different here, and this is basically what we answered. So it looks like we're pretty in line with what everyone else decided to write out. So that does it for that problem. And there was one other problem that I wanted to work through with you guys since this first one was pretty quick and pretty to the point. This one is called Find the Difference in Age Between Oldest and Youngest Family Members. The prompt is the annual family gathering, the family likes to find the oldest living family member's age and the youngest family member's age and calculate the difference between them. Seems kind of odd, but sure, families are weird. You will be given an array of all family members' ages in any order. The ages will be given in whole numbers, so a baby of 5 months will have an ascribed age of 0. Okay, so it's only whole years. Return a new array with the youngest age, the oldest age, and the difference between the youngest and oldest age. Huh. Did not expect my return value to be an array here. I honestly just expected the return value to be the difference between the two. Nonetheless, we can work through this. All right, so let's kind of case this out, right? So for us to do this, we need to find three things. We need to find the min value, we need to find the max value in the array, and we need to find the difference. And the difference can be defined as the max minus the min. Okay, so this is a great opportunity for us to kind of reference documentation for arrays. So I am pretty sure there is a built-in method that will allow me to find the min and max for the arrays. If not, what we're going to have to do is iterate over the array and do a series of comparisons to find what the minimum value is. And then we're going to have to do the exact same thing again in the opposite direction to find what the max value is. And then we will have to calculate everything from there. So that's not a great solution. It's a lot of lines of code relative to the solution we could make. And it's probably not nearly as efficient as the built-in methods. So let's do a little research. So let's type in C#. So I actually looked this up a little earlier. Array, we'll just start with min. Okay, so we see docs.microsoft.com, so we know this is the official documentation. And we can see if we use the system.link library, returns the minimum value in a sequence of nullable int 64 values and in 32 values. Okay, so this is going to cover us, right? So it means that we can use the min, and if I come down here where there's a min, there's almost always a max. So yeah, it's right here. So same goes for max. So what we're going to need to do to make this work is we're actually going to have to import that library. So we're going to write using system, if I can spell system correctly, .link. All right, now that we have this imported, we can write out our solution. So I'm going to actually show you guys two ways to solve this. First way is going to be very explicit, and it's going to go step by step. So ages.min. Okay, we're going to do the max now, which is going to be ages.max. Oops. And we're going to do int difference, which is equal to the max minus the min, as we said earlier. And then we're also going to need to define an array. We're just going to call this array result. And we're going to go ahead and populate it. So we're going to populate it with the min, the max, and the difference as stated in the prompt. And now we need to worry about our return, right? So we can just return that array that we just created. So this, in theory, should pass. So let's go ahead and run this test. All right, let's go and make attempt for the entire test bank. All right, and we're passing everything. So it looks like the solution is good. But as I said earlier, we can kind of clean this up a little bit. So ideally, we really don't have to make these explicit statements, right? So what we could do is instead we can directly define them in the array. Because all these min and max, all they're doing is returning a value. So it's returning a value that is being stored or referenced by the integer variable min. So we can do save a little space, and we can do ages.min, ages.max, and to get around the difference, we can simply do the calculation in here. So ages.max minus ages.min will give us our difference, and we can return that result. So let's go ahead and we'll get rid of all this right here, and let's go ahead and make that attempt. And we're passing. So let's go ahead and hit submit and see what everybody else did. Awesome. Okay, so we're very in line with what everyone else did. These guys are kind of utilizing the link library a little better than I know how right now. This is kind of where our first solution, what our first solution looked like. Awesome. I feel good about that. So just to kind of recap that one, um, that was a good example of breaking down the problem. So take that prompt and break down what you need. Think about what the input is and how we can manipulate that input to, to return the desired value. And at the end of the day, that's really what most of programming is you're trying to find a certain input, you're feeding that input into some method or some series of code, and you're trying to manipulate that or pull certain information out of it as a return value. And its programming is really just a series of those interactions over and over and over. So I felt this last problem was a good example of that. It also taught us the importance of referencing documentation. Oftentimes, a lot of these problems are very they're issues that have existed since programming has existed. Since the array data structure came along, people have been writing out 5, 6 lines of code to find the min and max. So most languages now have built-in ways to do it. So no need to waste my time doing it unless there's some type of efficiency requirement, and maybe I can provide a more efficient solution. Um, and then with the first problem, solution is string uppercase. It's just an exercise in critical thinking. It's easy issue, or easy problem. You just got to kind of mold your brain to kind of think programmatically about things. So with these two problems completed, I guess that will do it for us. Do it for me, guys. Appreciate your time, and I'm going to continue making videos. This is just as much for me as it is for you guys. Um, I'm just trying to get better and better at programming as these days go on. So if you have any questions, hit me up. Any suggestions, hit me up. And I'll see you next time.